Hello and welcome to the channel everyone. I am Cause Nova and today we're going to be exploring basically how I tune my drift cars in Forza Horizon 4. So it's going to be kind of a quick video. We're going to start with a car. If you know me from Twitch, if you come to the streams, you know this car. It's my Nissan S13. It's my Sylvia Club K. I love this car. We're going to go through how I tune it basically, and I'll definitely specify what I use for like a base tune and what I use for this car in specific. So without further ado, let's jump right into that. I don't want this to be too long of a video. Alright, so starting out the tune, we're going to start over in tires. This is a rear wheel drive drift tune build, so we're going to want grip in the front. So we're turning down the tire pressure in the front down to about 26 psi. It's a great place to start, 25, 26, just to see how the car is going to handle. It's going to give you more grip in the front end, which is what you're going to want in a rear wheel drive drift tune. And the complete opposite in the rear, since you're going to want those rear tires spinning, they're going to be kicking out all your power and keeping you sideways. We're going to stiffen up those rear tires so they slide easier on the pavement, moving it up to 35, 36, 37, and kind of playing with it and fine tuning it. As a base tune, I recommend 25 psi in the front and 35 psi in the rear. Alright, so gearing, we can get really deep in depth with gearing, and I wouldn't even say that I'm the best at it, but as a base tune, and when we're talking about rear wheel drive drifting, there's something really easy. It's kind of a hack. If you just want to play with the final drive, you can really affect the performance of the car, and that's all I do with most of my tunes. In my final drive here, you can see it set at 3.95. As a base tune, I recommend always pushing that up to about 4.0. That's going to get those tires spinning earlier and faster. And then once you're at 4.0, you can tell like, oh, do I need to bring this down? Do I need to pull it up a little bit? Kind of play with it there, but I do recommend a 4.0 final drive on all base drift tunes. Okay, so moving on to alignment, we all want that beautiful camber in our front end. I usually have this maxed out in all my base drift tunes to a negative 5.0 or as far as it will let me go. In the rear, I don't see the need as much for camber, so I definitely don't have it popped out as wide. I usually run about 1.5 as a base, and then I'll play with that. That can go up to 1.6, 1.7, even lower sometimes if it's not needed. Moving down into toe. Toe, I don't usually change in a base tune. If the car's not entering the turns or it's not coming out of the turns the way I like, I will play with the toe a little bit, add a little bit to the out to get that car to turn in easier. But in a base tune, I wouldn't mess with it. And we're going to keep our angle, of course, our front caster at a solid 7 degrees. Okay, so usually I do not play with these in a base tune unless I feel like I need to or I want to get really in depth with a car. This tune I have works perfectly and I never touch them. So sometimes some things will work just as they're set. So anti-roll bars, especially with this Nissan S13, I would leave them as is unless you absolutely feel like you need to change them or you know that you can and it will affect the car in a positive manner. So yeah, I leave them right there stock. It looks like 32 and 31, which I don't know the units of measurement on that, but I leave those stock and they seem to be kind of right in the middle. If you like your roll bars a little bit softer, a little bit stiffer, you can adjust those as needed. Moving on into springs. So I kind of do the same with my springs. I don't really mess with these. If you're someone who does like to change the effect of the car, you like the car to dip, you like the car to squat, you can definitely soften those up a bit or stiffen them up to your liking. Ride height, we obviously have dropped down front and rear as low as we possibly can because these are drift cars. We want these things slammed out. We want them scraping. So dampening here is something I do that's a little different with the S13, and this doesn't usually work with most cars, so I wouldn't recommend it as a base tune. As a base tune for rebound stiffness, I would usually say anywhere from 10 to 12, front and rear. And then your bump stiffness, you want to half whatever your rebound stiffness is going to be roughly. So if you're sitting, say, at 11.2 in my front rebound stiffness, my front bump stiffness should be somewhere around 5.6, 5.7. But in this S13, I played with it a little bit and I did something different and I was able to come up with a really great tune. And that's what happens when you play with things and you tweak them. But as a base tune, I would usually recommend keeping your bump stiffness about half of what your rebound stiffness is for a drift car. But moving on to aero, which it looks like I have locked. I don't think I have a wing on, and it doesn't really usually matter. I don't usually have a wing or aero set, so that's not a big deal. As a base tune for brakes, now this is really important. This is a technique a good friend of mine showed me, to Wolfpack, big shout out. This is a great way to work on your tandems and be able to do throttle control a bit better while using your brakes. So what we've done here is we've moved our brake balance about 20% over to the rear, right? So we're getting a lot more braking in the front end, and then we've taken our pressure all the way down to 30%. So this is going to affect when you step on your brakes and your car slows down. it's going to slow down a lot slower. It's going to feel like the brake is doing a lot less, which is good because at higher speeds, you can use that brake to play with the throttle. And you'll see what I mean when you get close to tandeming and you're up next to a car. You can really use that brake to fine tune the distance and maybe not knock them out of their line. But it's a really great braking technique. I love it, and I use it as a base tune on almost every single one of my drift cars. I highly recommend it. Moving us on to our final category, the differential. This is what I do for every single base drift tune. We want that acceleration, we want that speed. We always max it out to 100%. As for deceleration, this is really going to depend on the car and the weight of the car. I usually, as a base, put it about 75 to 80. If the car is heavier, I'll move it up a bit more or down a bit more, depending on how much it's decelerating, especially in my drifts, because I'm a type of person that likes to play with that free zone in a drift where you're not accelerating and you're using your momentum. So that really depends on how you use your momentum. But as a base tune, I always recommend 100% acceleration and usually about 75% deceleration. And that is what I run on my Nissan S13. I love this car. It's gotten a lot of positive feedback from people I play with. They enjoy it as well. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you did enjoy it and you like the tune, if it helps you, if you were able to use this to make a car, let me know down in the comment below. Let me know if you like the tune. Let me know if it's like this helped you understand bass tuning a bit more, or drift tuning a bit more. If you think I'm a goofball and I'm totally wrong, let me know down in the comment box below because it's going to help me grow. But once again, thank you guys. I'm Nova. This is how we do a rear-wheel drive drift tune in Forza Horizon 4 on my 1992 Nissan Silvia Club K, otherwise known as the Nissan Silvia S13. Thanks, guys. I'm out.